Hello, Doctor. We are Group 5. This is our presentation on the financial statement analysis of the Coca-Cola Company and Nestle Malaysia Berhad. The Coca-Cola Company and Nestle Malaysia Berhad are both the leaders in their sectors and with a rich history and strong market influence. The Coca-Cola Company, founded in 1892, is one of the largest soft drink companies in the world, with its brand present in over 200 countries. We have chosen Coca-Cola because of its global operation and continuous brand innovation strategy. Nestle, one of the world's largest food and beverage companies, has been operating in Malaysia through Nestle Malaysia Berhad since 1912, offering a wide range of products, including beverages, dairy, and nutritional foods. Nestle's deep root in the local market and its strategy in health-conscious food products are particularly noteworthy. So today we will analyze these two companies from two key perspectives: income statement analysis and balance sheet analysis. First, we will explore the trends in revenue, cost of goods sold, depreciation, and interest expenses, comparing how both companies handle their financial. For instance, we will investigate whether purchasing more assets have resulted in higher depreciation expenses or how rising raw material costs have affected their cost of goods sold. Then we will dive into the balance sheet, focusing on trends in assets, liabilities, and equity. We will examine the strategic decisions that may have influenced this trend, such as whether companies have taken on more debt to acquire assets or sold assets to pay down liabilities.
First, let's talk about the income statement analysis part. And I will introduce the first question. Purchasing more assets results in more depreciation. By collecting the income statements of Coca-Cola and Nestle, we can get the revenue trends like the chart. And we can see Coca-Cola's revenue has been growing steadily. In 2022, it's 43 billion, and 2023 is 45, 2024 is 47. This shows Coca-Cola's pricing strategy works well, and they are growing in new markets. For Nestle, on the other hand, shows a different trend. And in 2022, it's 6.66, and 2023 is 7, 2024 is 6.22. The drop in 2024 may be because of selling of parts of the business and changing their strategy. Now let's look at cost of goods sold, which is the cost of making the products. We can see Coca-Cola's fluctuations stress the dynamic supply chain management and cost control measures. And for the Nestle, variations may result from changes in production efficiency and input costs. And the next is selling, general, and administrative expenses. For Coca-Cola, its SG&A keeps increasing. This could mean more spending on marketing and administrative costs. For Nestle, its SG&A is going down. This shows Nestle is cutting costs and improving operations. And the fourth is net income. Coca-Cola's net income is stable, which highlights effective cost management and revenue growth. And Nestle's net income decline attributed to one-off items and increased operational costs. So what does this all mean? I think Coca-Cola is growing its revenue and spending more on marketing and distribution. This shows they are investing to gain more market share. And for Nestle is showing mixed results. The drop in revenue and income may be because they sold off some businesses and faced higher costs, but they are also cutting operating costs.
Hi everyone, in my part I will introduce how rising raw material costs have impacted OGS for Coca-Cola and Nestle Malaysia. Let's start with Coca-Cola. From 2022 to 2024, their COGS lost slightly from 80 billions to 80.5 billions in 2024. This increase relates from global inflation on key materials like sugar and energy. Although those rising costs, Coca-Cola still managed to grow both its gross profit and net income. This shows they handle the pressure well, mainly through strong pricing strategy and supply chain management. Now let's look at Nestle Malaysia. Their COGS went up from 4.6 billion in 2022 to 4.8 billion in 2023, driven by rising price for dairy, oil, coconut, and packaging. But unlike Coca-Cola, in 2024, their revenue and COGS actually dropped, like due to weaker demand or lower production volume. This led a noticeable decline in both gross profit and net income. So what the difference? First, let's talk about the pricing strategy. Coca-Cola could raise price globally or reduce package size. Even with the higher cost, they were able to protect their profit. Nestle Malaysia, however, operates in a more price-sensitive market, so it couldn't increase the price as much, which hurt their profit more. Next, supply chain flexibility. Coca-Cola benefits from a big global network, which helps control raw material costs. Nestle Malaysia depends more on local suppliers, which are more exposed to things like palm oil or milk shortage. And finally, their approach to the production reformulations. Coca-Cola is reducing sugar and use more recycled packages, cutting down on future raw material needs. Nestle Malaysia focused on sustainable sourcing, which is good long term but costs more in the short term. In conclusion, both companies had higher COGS due to rising material costs. However, Coca-Cola's global reach and the pricing power have them keep growing profit. Nestle Malaysia struggling more due to less flexible and its focus on local marketing, which left it more vulnerable to price change. Thank you everyone, it's on my part.
In this part, we will talk about increasing employee wages leads to better employee retention. According to the income statement of the Coca-Cola Company, its revenues grew steadily from 2022 to 2024. However, Nestle Malaysia's revenue increased from 2022 to 2023 and then decreased in 2024, according to its income statement. Higher wages will motivate employees and result in better employee retention. Employees with higher wages are more likely to perform better, contributing to higher sales. The net incomes of both the Coca-Cola Company and Nestle Malaysia increased from 2022 to 2023 and then decreased in 2024. Increased wages could lead to higher costs in the short term. However, in the long term, by increasing employee wages, Nestle and Coca-Cola could see improved employee satisfaction, which could reduce turnover, improve productivity and profitability. The interest expenses of both the Coca-Cola Company and Nestle Malaysia increased from 2022 to 2024. Increasing wages doesn't directly impact the interest expenses, but it can motivate employees. A motivated workforce is crucial for improving operational efficiency, which could allow the company to generate more cash flow, potentially reducing its need for external financing.
The selling general and administrative cost of the Coca-Cola Company dropped from 2022 to 2023 and then increased a bit in 2024. The selling general and administrative costs of Nestle increased from 2022 to 2023. Higher wages for employees, particularly in sales and marketing, could lead to better employee retention. Retained employees are more likely to stay with the company and continue driving innovative marketing strategies and efficient sales tactics. Therefore, the company's ability can be improved to execute its strategies without interruptions that could increase the selling general and administrative costs.
Then let's talk about analysis of balance sheet. We compared Nestle Malaysia and Coca-Cola Global over a 3-year period from 2022 to 2024. And in the first part, I will introduce the strategic difference in issuing more debt to buy more assets as sector. Then let's start with assets. Nestle Malaysia's cash and equivalents grew steadily from 8.17 million ringgit to 11.24 million ringgit, a sign of careful liquidity management. Coca-Cola's cash stayed significantly higher, peaking at over 10.8 billion USD in 2024, supporting its global flexibility. Then for receivables, for both stayed relatively stable, implying constant customer collection. Inventories, however, it diverged. Nestle reduced its sharply and is likely reflecting a linear supply chain. Coca-Cola's increased it steadily, possibly tied to a broader product diversity and scale. Then in PPE, both companies invested for future growth. Nestle rose to over 2 billion ringgit, while Coca-Cola rebounded in 2024 to over 11.4 billion US dollars after a slight dip. Intangible assets are where Coca-Cola shines, holding 14.8 billion US dollars across all 3 years, reflecting heavy brand investment. Nestle, although smaller, grew its category from 62 million ringgit to 234 million ringgit, possibly cycling new strategic investment. So that means Coca-Cola's leverage global asset intensity and brand power, while Nestle opts for controlled, local scale asset efficiently. Then let's move to the liabilities part. So Nestle's payables declined slightly, hinting at quicker supplier payments. Coca-Cola's stayed steady around 5.5 billion US dollars, likely reflecting global operations and longer payment circles. So for long-short doubt revolves more action. Nestle dipped when then sparked in 2024, showing a sudden need for liquidity. Coca-Cola's sharp rise in 2023, followed by a drop, suggests large but short-lived financing, perhaps for investment or reconstructing. Long-term debt stayed fixed for Nestle at 300 million ringgit. Coca-Cola, it jumped from 36.6 billion US dollars to 14.3 billion dollars in 2024. It's a bound strategic use of leverage. So strategy-wise, Coca-Cola uses debt to expand aggressively, while Nestle plays its safe, low-risk, and stable structure. Then finally, let's talk about equity. So both companies kept shared capital stable, meaning no new equity issuance. Their retained earnings are the real story. Coca-Cola maintains high constant reserves, while Nestle gradually increased, reflecting its careful profit retention and reinvestment. So in summary, Coca-Cola's balance sheet reflects a bold expansionist strategy, leveraging debt breadth and scale to dominate globally, while Nestle Malaysia is conservative and focused on stable, efficient local operations. Two companies, same sector, but their balance sheet tell us very different stories.
The table shows the annual trend of the two companies in terms of assets. For Coca-Cola, it may reduce short-term obligations or increase dividends by actively managing its current assets. It also can optimize its non-current assets to improve efficiency. Nestle may try to increase its assets by reinvesting in existing operations and acquisitions. It also tends to reinvest in its core production facilities and new technology for long-term growth. The table shows the annual trend of the two companies in terms of liabilities. The trend of increasing liabilities suggests that Coca-Cola is using debt for growth and expansion, while Nestle shows a more conservative approach in managing its balance sheet in 2023 with the debt reduction. However, the increase in liabilities in 2024 signals that Nestle is likely to invest in strategic opportunities or expand into a new market. From the table, we can see the annual trend of the two companies in terms of equity. Coca-Cola's equity might grow mainly through retained earnings, shareholder buybacks, and dividends, while Nestle is likely to reinvest in its core businesses and acquisitions to increase long-term shareholder value.
Now I will talk about the third part to keep more suppliers. First, let's look at the inventory trends of Coca-Cola and Nestle from 2022 to 2024. From this table, we can see Coca-Cola's inventory keeps growing about 11.7% increase from 2022 to 2024. Uh, Nestle's inventory was highest in 2022, then dropped and stayed around 831,000 in 2023 and 2024. So let's talk about the strategy. First, let's look at Coca-Cola. Uh, its strategy is proactive inventory strategy. They follow a proactive inventory strategy. This means they keep more raw materials and finished products in stock to make sure they can keep selling even if there are problems in the supply chain. And they focus on always having products available. Even if it costs more to hold inventory, they prefer to be ready for any market changes. And for Nestle, its strategy is lean and responsive strategy. Their approach is different, more lean and flexible. In 2022, their inventory was high. This was likely because of global supply chain issues. But in 2023 and 2024, they worked to reduce inventory. They might be using more just-in-time sourcing or outsourcing some parts of their supply chain. Their goal is to be more efficient and reduce costs. So here's a simple comparison between the two. The total inventory aspect, Coca-Cola is stable growth, and the Nestle is fluctuates, peaked in 2022 and declined. From the raw materials points, the Coca-Cola is high-end growing, Nestle is reduced, possibly outsourced. The finished goods Coca-Cola is increased significantly, and Nestle is stable. And for the strategy focus, Coca-Cola retaining more inventory for stability, and Nestle optimizing inventory for efficiency. To summarize, Coca-Cola chooses to keep more inventory to protect against risks and ensure product availability worldwide. Nestle focuses on lower inventory, improving efficiency, and reacting quickly to changes. That's all my part. Let's invite my partner to introduce next part.
In my part, I will focus on how they made investment and whether they use cash or debt to do it. Let's start with Nestle Manager. From 2022 to 2024, cash increased slightly from 8.70 to 11.24 million ringgit. PPE increased by 214 million ringgit. Intangible assets increased by 173 million ringgit, but short-term debt rose a lot, from 487 to 805 million ringgit. This shows that Nestle made investment but did not reduce cash. Instead, it used short-term debt. Nestle is trying to grow fast by investment in facility and brand value. At the same time, it's keeping enough cash for daily operation. This means they were willing to take more short-term risks to expand quickly. From 2022 to 2024, PPE increased about $400 million. Cash also increased from 9.5 to 10.8 billion dollars. Intangible assets went down slightly. Long-term debt increased by almost $6 billion. Coca-Cola also invests, but it keeps its cash strong and uses long-term debt instead. So we can know Coca-Cola is more careful. It wants to grow, but also protect its cash. This gives them more financial flexibility and helps maintain their credit rating. So in conclusion, both Nestle Malaysia and Coca-Cola make big investments between 2022 and 2024, but they use different strategies. Nestle Malaysia chose to grow short-term to grow fast, without using up its cash. This shows a strategy of fast expansions, but with more short-term financial risk. Coca-Cola used long-term debt and keep its cash strong. This shows a more stable, long-term strategy with their lower risk. They reflects their different business styles. Nestle focuses on local, fast growth. Coca-Cola aims for global, long-term stability.